Hi there, welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham, and we have another win to talk about. The VOT of the two losses and no wins has come to an end against Nottingham Forest, and it was a fairly good weekend for us, but barring Newcastle, everyone else around us dropped points, barring Arsenal as well. I think they're probably going to win the league here. Joined with Brad. Hopefully, we'll have Brian Daigle with us a bit later on, but joined with Brad as well. Been on here plenty of times before. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fine. I'm looking forward to a week of healthy eating and drinking after last week. As you know, a lot of the Irish
make
lads
the most
over.
of it because it won't happen again.
Yeah, a lot of the Irish lads were over last week, and a couple from America. So we all met on Tuesday. Then of course we had Wednesday night debacle, and then obviously Saturday. So it's been a pretty busy week for me. So I'm looking forward to just basically relaxing this week.
Yeah, and it always helps after a fairly comfortable routine win, although we did try and make it difficult for ourselves. But thank you to everybody who's watching. Please hit the like, please hit the subscribe and notification bells as well. And you may have noticed I'm doing a lot of shorts recently. So I'll be doing the shorts before the game, after when the team is announced, half times, end of the game, if I'm around, that is, and then obviously Fridays and Mondays will be the big talking points about them and chatting about them. But yeah, please hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell. You'll know Brad from Blue Sofa Songs. That's his YouTube channel. It's in the description. But stay around until the end, and he'll let you know what you can expect on that as well. I mentioned it, Brad. Bad spell has ended. We'll come to a lot of the stuff. Richarlison, VAR. The two main headlines, but really important, wasn't it, to get that bad spell out the way? Ignore the fact that other teams lost and dropped points, but really important to stop that rot of terrible results and terrible play as well. Really.
Well, I think the game was. I mean, obviously the caveat to that game was that Nottingham Forest are very poor, but we did what we had to do.
Although they did beat us earlier in the season.
They did well. They did in that debacle,
a
League Cup. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't a bad performance. It wasn't a good performance. It was a performance that basically we did what we had to do. I thought there's more. It's more of individual efforts. It's more of some individual performances that I was quite impressed with. I thought Oliver Skipp really looked good.
As for Richarlison for the disallowed goals, a lot of Spurs fans potentially don't realise he's got in his makeup, Skipp. Fantastic pass.
If you go back to even a couple of years ago when he first sort of was come back from Norwich, I mean he's always had a pass on him. I've always seen him being able to pass the ball. And he proved that on Saturday with that excellent pass for Richarlison. I mean, we'll talk about VAR later, obviously. But
I've got a picture, so we'll be talking about that.
But I mean, he had a really good game. I thought Richarlison really worked hard, considering what happened the other day, where he sort of had a bit of a hissy fit. He played well. I thought Kane's part. To me anyway, it seemed that they were playing Richarlison up top and Kane was dropping back. Kane more or less played the number 10. It's almost like him and Son playing the two number 10s and Richarlison up top. And Kane's passing range is incredible.
Yeah.
And that's probably the way he's going to go in the following years. I thought there was some decent performances there. Romero, I thought, had a very controlled game. He's always been good at intercepting and reading the ball.
This is decision making, isn't it? And rashness.
Yeah. I think you've got to get that absolute rashness out of him. Okay, he missed times tackles. That's fine tuning with him, but it's the obvious rashness where you see him going a bit. Oh, this is not going to end well. This is not even bad time. He doesn't come into it. It's just reckless. But no, he had a very controlled game. It's not my argument. Well, actually, it is my argument. But you could argue that Fraser Forster has been our best summer signing.
We're talking about him later.
Yeah, he had a really, really good game. Porro is looking better and better every game.
Talk about him later as well.
Davis seems to be the best wing back in the club at the moment, if you barring injuries, because we've obviously got some players out. So I thought it was a performance. I felt in the second half we let Forest back in the game a bit. We seem to still be playing teams on the break, which I wasn't too happy with. We didn't really. I think in the first half we looked like it could have been 4-5-6-0, and if the first goal being allowed, maybe that might have been the case. But I felt that we gave them a bit too much in the second half, and we seemed to be waiting to take them on the break, which I didn't really think we had to do against a team like Nottingham Forest.
No.
And finally, another great chant from the South Stand. Nottingham Forest were giving it all about, champions of Europe. You'll never sing that. And Tottenham responded with, "You weren't even born. You weren't even born. Champions of Europe. You weren't even born," which I thought was actually very good. So all in all, a good day.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see as well. I can't remember the last time it happened. All our front three getting in on the act, not necessarily scoring, but Richarlison obviously got an assist. The other two scoring goals. I can't remember the last time that happened. Certainly last season, I'd have thought. But yeah, I mean, I said as well earlier, a good week, Newcastle aside. And this is the table at the moment. Unfortunately, Arsenal won as well. I think looked very impressive against Fulham, but Manchester United dropped points. They've also got one of their top players of the season banned for 3 games. Liverpool, unbelievably, dropped points. Brighton, well, they won, but and they can catch us up. But you'd want those points, wouldn't you? 9 points. Newcastle, obviously winning. We'll talk about a little bit about them a bit later when we talk about VAR, because how Nick Pope stayed on the pitch, I do not know. But yeah, a good week for us. We've got Southampton next and then an international break. So it's really, really important to carry on piling the misery for Southampton and win that game. But yeah, a good week for us. Weekend for us.
And it's weird that we're only, I mean, all right, Man United have got a game in hand, but we have to play them at home.
Yeah.
We're only 2 points behind third. It's extraordinary. I mean, everyone's moaned about this season, but when you actually look at, I'm not saying, look, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, it's all, we're good, we're so good, we're so good. No, I'm not saying that at all. But it's amazing that we've played pretty averagely this season, and in a lot of cases very poorly this season, and we're only 2 points off third.
It's just frustrating, isn't it, that if we had have attacked teams,
well,
we'd be well up there, wouldn't we? Because we've definitely got the firepower.
Yeah. And also, if you look at the teams behind us, we've got a very difficult week in April. I think we play Newcastle away on the Saturday, which no doubt will be moved to Sunday.
Yeah.
Manchester United, that's away. Manchester United at home on the Thursday night, and then Liverpool away on the Sunday. So that's 3 games in a week. Hopefully, with the other games that we've got coming up, we will have enough points to have a bit of distance by then.
Well, I mean, the Man United and Liverpool ones could easily be moved if those 2 teams are further on in the Champions League, because they're not going to be playing Tuesday and a Thursday. Maybe the Liverpool one with a Tuesday or Wednesday and a Sunday or whatever, but certainly the Man United, they won't be playing on Tuesday and Thursday. And
I think we're also 3 points better off than we were after 27 games last season. So it's bizarre. It really is bizarre. I'm trying. I won't lie to you. I think last season when we were at this stage and we were going for top 4, it was exciting. This season it's whatever, because I'm still reeling from the Sheffield United result. That was a killer.
Real opportunity to get some silverware, certainly get into a semi-final with Blackburn at home, all due respect to Blackburn, but you on paper would be favourites for that at home in a quarter-final. And then get into a semi-final, and it's very, very likely it could have been a Manchester derby in the semi-final, and you get the other team. And to rest your players in the cup game and lose the cup game and lose the game that you rested the players for, it just should have had a go in the Sheffield United game.
As I said, the game against Wolves, if you rest your players in the Wolves game, if you lose it, you've still got time to make up those points. Whereas in the Cup, if you lose that, that's it. That's finished. It's all over. Yeah. And I think the Champions League, well, let's face it, we probably should have gone through against AC Milan. But, as for getting anywhere further, I mean, it's very, unless maybe if we'd have drawn Benfica, maybe.
If we'd have attacked AC Milan, we'd have beaten. We 2 shots on goal. First one from Højbjerg must have been at least 70 minutes or something like that. But what I'm saying is, should be peppering them early doors.
I think the chances of us going any further or winning the damn thing was very, very unlikely. Whereas in the Cup, it was always a possibility. But that's unfortunately not to be now.
Yeah, I'm still annoyed about the Sheffield United game. Like,
Oh.
I imagine like a lot of other Spurs fans as well. Again, VAR. I mean, how this is offside, I do not know.
It's incredible.
I mean, it's just he's leaning forward, so a part of his anatomy that he can't score from is offside. So
Well,
I forgot the rule where you're allowed to Maradona it in now. It's just getting. I mean, we'll come to Nick Pope in a minute as well because that does kind of affect Tottenham in a way. But this one, he needs a goal. He's made the run. He's made the run so that Skip can see the run being made. Oh, I'll ping it over the top because Richarlison has made a good run. Good finish. Sorry, your shoulder's offside.
well,
you scored with your foot. Oh no, you could have scored with your shoulder. Those offside. Absolutely ridiculous, and the inconsistency is just.
Well, the whole of the VAR thing with the lines, and you know me, I've always said get rid of the lines. It's taken the level with the defender away out of the game.
Yeah.
If you look at that clip, it's the lines that go up to the player, up to his armpit or whatever. By all means, put a line in there. Don't put the two. Put a line in there or some sort of reference point. But look, look at where his feet are compared to the Forest player's feet. He's behind it.
He's miles on side in his feet, and that's what he's scored with. I don't understand it.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And when you think football, the benefit of the doubt's got to go to the attacking player, and that's more or less why they changed the rule to. I mean, I'm old enough to remember where if you were level, you were offside, but then they changed the rule that when you were level, you weren't offside, and they're reducing goals now, and that's the whole idea of football and the various rule changes we've had was to increase the amount of goals and excitement, and now they've taken it out. And again, I was at the game on Saturday. It took forever. Absolutely forever. I mean,
I saw someone say on Twitter 5 minutes it took, but there were only 2 minutes injury time in the first half.
Well, if you look at your clip there, you've got 5 minutes on the clock, haven't you? I think. And I think the goal, from memory, the goal was after about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Look, if it's an obvious mistake, great.
Well, that's what we were told, wasn't it? Clear and obvious, and he's onside. His feet are onside, so there's no way that's clear and obvious. If it was every single time like that, it was offside, I could maybe understand it because it would be consistent. But there'll be a goal next week where his shoulders offside, but his legs aren't, and it gets given.
Yeah,
and it's just stupid. But yeah.
But I think my final point on that. If you put that clip up again, Chris, sorry. If you put the clip up again. Right. Now, if you didn't have VAR, right, and you're a Nottingham Forest fan and you're watching the game, he's offside. And then on Match of the Day, they showed that clip, you'd say, oh no, fair enough, he's onside. You wouldn't even worry about where those little lines are going up to the arms. You'd look at that and you say, oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, he's onside. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully it didn't matter, but it's not the point.
No, it didn't matter. But I feel really sorry for Richarlison because, notwithstanding that I've got a £10 bet that he'll score over 5 goals in the Premier League. but yeah, I mean that's the second goal he's had for debatable offsides. At least this time he didn't take his shirt off and get booked. So
no, I mean at least he's making the run and trying there.
And it's a great
lack of confidence. Strikers with lack of confidence don't make the runs, do they? Yeah. They can't hide.
It's a great ball. It's a great run. It was put away well. A good bit of football. Whoever's playing, and yet because of stupid lines and millimeters and these stupid rules, the goal's disallowed. So
I just. Yeah, Wayne Bonner here. How you doing, Wayne? Always in Spurs chat. Really appreciate it. Evening all. Hope you're all well. That was offside. That offside was an absolute joke. Time to wave VAR goodbye. At least
listen, Wayne. I would gladly wave goodbye to VAR. I would gladly wave at it. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. But what they can do is they can just take out these stupid lines or the finite details that they're literally getting a scientist, what's the guy who a crime scene checking DNA and that sort of thing. That's how far they're going to work out whether a guy is offside or not. And it's just ridiculous.
But then, I mean, talking about that, I haven't got a picture, but Nick Pope, how he stayed on. I don't know if people watched it, but how he's staying on the pitch. I don't.
But at least with the Nick Pope,
or how it wasn't even a penalty. No, ignore the red card part, but a penalty. He's miscontrolled it. The guy's nipped in. Jimenez, I think it was, has nipped in, and Pope can't get out of the way. Really, so I guess there's an argument there that he can't get out of the way, but he knows exactly what he's doing. Yeah, but he could have got out of the way, and I just don't understand how that was not given as at least a penalty. And last man, it was clear goal scoring opportunity. I know there's a rule now that it was brought in with the last man. If it's accidental, it's a yellow card. If it's on purpose, it's red. I mean, where do you draw the line and whether it's accidental or purpose or not? But how that wasn't a penalty, at least. And this is the same VAR that's telling us Richarlison's fingernail is offside.
I think the difference here is that the VAR that we're looking at is computerized. Okay, I don't know how to put the lines in, and the one they're talking about that they might be using that's used in the World Cup. It's all semi-automatic. So they see what's on screen and they give whatever corresponding decision. With the VAR on the penalty with Nick Pope, that again comes down to a human being judging it.
Yeah.
So it's still subjective, whether you've got VAR or not. It's still subjective. So you could make the argument that you could say, oh, maybe Jimenez ran into him. You could make the argument when the ball went off, he probably wouldn't have got it and scored. You can make make those. I'm not saying that they're right, but you can make those arguments.
Yeah. And then Casemiro. I've seen one clip of it. I've seen one clip of it. It does look like a bit of a reckless challenge, but it's no way near like a leg breaker or anything like that. I don't think anyway. But it is. He should know better. In this day and age, you can't jump in like that. Whether you've got the ball, whether you've got the man, whether you've followed through, whatever. You can't. You can't dive in like that. And people saying, "Oh, football's done. It's not a contact sport anymore." It hasn't been a contact sport for about 10 years by that logic. But again, there'll be a challenge next week, exactly the same as that, and it'll be a yellow card or nothing. And that's where I think a lot of fans' frustrations are. Not that the decisions are wrong or right or whatever. It's two exact same decisions. 1 week is a red card, 1 week isn't. And it's just that, and you said it yourself, it's still open to interpretation.
Yeah, it's still down to a human being making
apparently decisions. What we were eradicating with VAR in the first place.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's. I guess in a way that's why they go with the referee's decision, or they should do anyway.
Yeah.
If they can't make a decision, then they'll go with a referee. Much the same way in cricket is that if the margin of error is so small, they'll go with whatever the umpire said.
Yeah.
If the umpire said he was out, he was out. If the umpire said he was in, he was. So I guess they're doing that with VAR, but at the same time, it's still down to a human being making the decision. Yeah. So whether that be the linesman, the referee, or some guy in a TV studio,
Yeah, I mean, thankfully it didn't make a difference. But Richarlison, do you think he answered some questions? He's obviously had a go at Conte. We'll talk about Conte later. He's obviously had a bit of a go at Conte in his interview and everything like that. He had a go at himself as well, saying the season was shit.
That's up to interpretation, isn't it?
I know Conte said his mistake was he said me and it should have been the team.
Yeah.
Some fans criticised him. I was surprised he started, but I think Conte's gone, okay, you want to run your mouth, let's see what you can do. I think he has shut up a few critics. I only saw the game on Match of the Day, the 5-minute highlights without commentary or commentary or anything. So I didn't see a huge amount, but the assist was good. He one cross, cross, good defending. Try again, and then Son did really well for the goal. Do you think he's answered some critics there, Richard?
I think he's answered some questions. I think there's still other questions that I guess we'll have to wait to the end of the season. And also, he hasn't played many games. He's been injured a lot of the time. So I think for a £60 million play, you've got to do more. And basically talking about scoring goals. But he put in a great effort on Saturday. Very unlucky. He should have scored a goal, to be fair. Yeah. And he was an assist for Son's goal. Now, the interesting thing about that assist was if you remember the goal that Kane scored against Forest, the second goal, the ball was going to go out. It was a lost cause, and Richarlison retrieved the ball. Everyone thought, that's gone out, and he retrieved it, put the cross in, and Kane scored. He more or less
yes.
He more or less did the same on Saturday, because when the first cross came in, he kind of got to it, and I'm thinking, it's going out for a corner. Admittedly, the ball did slow down, and he got it back, and then put the cross in, and Son scored. So yeah, he put in. He was knackered at the end. He just couldn't run at the end, basically. But yeah, he needs to score more goals. But I don't want to make any sort of judgment until he's had a lot of games.
That's the issue, isn't it? He's had bit parts and he's had injuries as well. I think he's a player that needs a lot of game. But comment here from his biggest fan, Bob Spur. How you doing, buddy? It's Tipsy, Chris, and Jesus Condom. Big up, lads. Watch the replay of In the Wall, Bob's show, which was this last Saturday. You'll see what he means there. I still apologise for coming on drunk. I literally didn't offer anything on there. Probably slightly less than I offer when I'm sober like this.
Well, Chris, when you said you've been doing a lot of shorts lately, I thought you meant shots, actually. So
no, I don't do them anymore. I would have been on the floor.
Bob, if you're still watching,
I'd have ended up asleep. I'd have just nodded off. But yeah, it'd be interesting, Bob. What do you think of Richarlison's season? I know you're a huge fan of his. What you have to say about Richarlison, good, bad, or whatever, he'll always put 100% in and shift in. There's no hiding in that respect. That's what you want as fans, first and foremost, isn't it? Effort.
Yeah, and I think where he played on Saturday suits him better as well.
Yeah,
up top with Kane and Son sort of more or less behind him. I think that worked a lot better.
Well, I assume you'll know more than me because you saw the whole game because you were there. I'm assuming Kane almost a free role like Messi-ish.
Yeah. He was. I
before people go mad, I'm not saying Harry Kane is like Lionel Messi. I'm just saying the position. I'm assuming there wasn't really a you stay here, you go here. It was.
No, I think he played a lot deeper. I mean, he's been playing deeper as the years have gone by anyway, but I think he played a lot more deeper. I think that was on purpose. I think I was not reading, watching Ali Gold today, and saying that Conte, he classes the two players behind the striker as number 10s. So you play with two number 10s effectively. I think he was more or less doing that role on Saturday behind Richarlison. I'm not saying that Son was a number 10, but he's playing a lot deeper. And when he plays central, he puts a lot of balls out to Davis on the left and Porro on the right, and later when Kulusevski came on. But and it seemed to work. Richarlison playing that sort of battering up run and doing a lot of running seemed to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And has Spur TV.
He has.
Big up Chris, big up Brad. How you doing, buddy? Bob Spur, Richie for me has been disappointing. However, I do believe he hasn't had a consistent run of games in his best position. We have Brazil's number 9 and England's number 9. Surely we can make it work, right? And it'd be interesting to see the rest of the season, Brad, if Kane is the number 10 role and Richarlison number 9, or if Southampton, Kane is the number 9 again, and Richarlison's on the bench and Kulusevski's in. It'll be interesting to see, but He kept Everton up, Richarlison, as the number 9 because Calvert-Lewin was injured. He pretty much, not single-handedly, but almost single-handedly kept him up. Huge goals at huge times last year as the number 9. He can play on the left and the right, but obviously not his best position. And for Brazil, like Bob says, he was scoring goals for fun before the World Cup. Scored a 3, I think, one superb acrobatic one. So it'd be very interesting if Kane leaves, what we do there, because we have a number 9 there. Obviously, I'm not saying Richarlison is better than Kane. Very different players as well, but they are both number 9s. So it'd be very interesting if we buy a number 9 or we go and buy like a number 10, someone creative. It'd be very interesting. I still think he'll go to Man United, or they'll at least put in a serious bid, but remains to be seen on that one. Another assist, Porro. He got an assist, a beautiful cross for Kane as well. After his absolute shocker against Leicester, I mean, there were plenty of shockers there, so take your pick, certainly in the back. But it was obviously highlighted for him first game. Certainly Maddison's goal, he was nowhere to be seen, and Maddison ended up scoring in Porro's position, so I think that's why that gets highlighted. But he's got better. Obviously, he's got to learn the system when he came in, and it's probably a bit too early to put him in against Leicester. Certainly away from home game, I'm much more confident on that because you generally have more of the ball as a team. But yeah, the cross, very tight quarters, and then he put it on Kane's head, and Kane does what Kane does. Do you think that will give him a huge amount of confidence? And do you think as well that obviously he came in, had that shocker, Emerson started playing well, and so he's another one going, okay, well, I've got a battle here. I'm going to battle for my place. And we've got real, genuine, barring injuries, competition now for that right-sided wing-back.
I think Porro's a confident player anyway, and he's got a bit of a shithousery about him as well. Actually, on Saturday, he got into an altercation. I can't remember the Forest player, but there's a little bit of shithousery going on near the end of the game, which was quite entertaining from where I sit because I'm sort of quite close to the touchline. I'm looking forward to see because Perisic's been a complete disappointment, and Sessegnon as for attacking wing backs.
Well, if it was me, Sessegnon would be gone in the summer, as long as someone takes him, obviously.
So I'm looking forward to seeing Porro, who's a very attacking player, and this Ndogi plan. Yeah. So we've got two, and I think Conte, his system works when you've got those two attacking wing backs out there because that provides the width, meaning that you don't have to rely on your number 10 sort of going out wide. Now, the problem we have at the moment is our defence is not the best defence we've ever had. So if you have three top quality defenders, as you said, as your three centre backs, then you can have those two really attacking players. So you've virtually got four across the midfield, which solves your problem of having only two in the midfield. Or you could play the 3-5-2, whatever, and had the extra player in the midfield and do it that way and have five in midfield. So I'm looking forward to seeing Porro. And for that matter, actually, and I guess if Conte does go and a name, and say, for instance, Pochettino comes in, you're probably going to see Spence fighting for that position next season as well. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing Spence playing in an attacking role there as well. So, so I think Porro is showing me, anyway, even when he came on against AC Milan, he was one of the very few people that looked to be making some sort of effort. So I'm looking forward to seeing Porro. And he did a few good things defensively on Saturday as well. Admittedly against a poor Forest side. Yeah. But he looks very promising.
Yeah, but even though it's against a poor Forest side, when he was just completely up the pitch and not wanting to defend at all against Leicester, to see him defending and doing some defensive work must mean he's worked on the system and his play, and all the coaches have got into him and everything like that. So that's good to see. But be very interesting. We'll talk about Conte later because I'm pretty convinced he ain't going to be there at the start of next season. But on the other side, Davies, I know you mentioned him earlier, having a good game. I haven't got a picture of him. I haven't put a banner up. Apologies, Ben. But I mean, he's generally a 6-7 out of 10 every game, isn't he? Very rarely has a stinker. He very rarely has a stunner of a game. But I think he's one that managers feel I can trust him. I can depend on him.
Well, if Eric Dyer played like Davies did, we wouldn't have so much of a problem with Eric Dyer.
Yeah.
And I made this comment about Eric Dyer a few weeks back. He's either incredibly poor or is very, very good.
Yeah.
But you really want a player that's going to be, if you like, average every game.
Yeah.
And not making mistakes. So that you can rely on them. And I think Ben Davies, and again, if we're going to go for titles, Ben Davies is not going to be your left-sided centre-back or your left wing-back. But as part of the squad, I think he's a decent player to have there. He's very, very, what's the word? Well, he's playing two. Yeah. And at the moment, with the form of Perisic, and all right, okay, you could make the argument Perisic has got a lot of assists in this season, but recently Perisic has not been that good. And you do wonder whether he'll be here next season, given, his age. We got him on a free, So I think Davies at the moment and as I know, look, stats can lie. You don't have to. But stats, we've won 5 out of 7 games, and I think Davies has played as the left wing back, or he's been in the team rather than Perisic in those games. So you could make that argument. But Davies he's had a couple of good games. Okay, make the argument. He played against Forest. And a poor Chelsea side, but he's and a poor West Ham side for that matter. But he's done what he's had to do. So, and I when I saw the team sheet on Saturday, it didn't surprise me that he was played out there. But you got Longley who can play that left-sided centre back.
Yeah, I mean, well, you made a Longley, obviously a loan with a view to buy. No, there's no view to buy, is there? I've not been that impressed with him, but then you could say that about pretty much everyone in that defence.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Look, I'm not going to lose any sleep if they decide to send him back to Barcelona or whatever. I think he was a stopgap for the simple reason that I think we really wanted to get Bastoni, and Bastoni quite, it's up to him. Is didn't want to come over, didn't want to come to us. So, you can't sort of make someone play for us. So we went for Longley, but he's been okay, but he's made a couple of errors. It's not earth shattering. But yeah, you'd have to upgrade in that position for sure.
Yeah. I think we need serious upgrades in the defence, defence, and we need someone creative. Unless you are going to say, Harry, you're a number 10 now, which I don't think that would be the case. But one area that we do need to upgrade is a goalkeeper. This guy's 34, Lloris. I'll be surprised if he plays for us again. But yeah, Forster, penalty saving, calming influence. He does have to be careful and not make too many of the same mistakes that led to their goal, where he was in the middle of nowhere, into no man's land. So if he keeps doing that, he won't be a calming influence. But I thought AC Milan's goalkeeper, Magnon, or I may have butchered his name, he didn't have that much to do, but everything he did do, he did calmly and without any fuss, and then just made it all look very, very simple. Whereas Lloris sometimes does that, and then in another game, all over the place. Forster, on the whole, has done that, apart from the goal that Forest conceded, where he's completely misjudged the flight of the ball or what have you, and then he's in no man's land when he heads it in. But he did save a penalty as well, stood up tall, and it wasn't a very good penalty, but Forster dives there. If it goes down Kane's wasn't a very good penalty if the keeper stands there.
That was going up. That was going up. I tell you what, that was going up. That Kane was going up.
But obviously Kane has presumably seen him dive out the way. Okay, I'll stick it down the middle. But yeah, saved a penalty and saved us from having a real nervy last however many minutes it was. But yeah, I think he's been quite good, Forster.
Well, as I was saying, if you consider that he was brought in as a backup goalkeeper for nothing, I think he's probably been our best signing during the summer. If you compare it to how the other players have played and how much money we spent on them, or when I say they've played, some obviously haven't played. Not mention any names, Jed Spence. But yeah, I think that he's been a good solid backup, and I'm quite happy if he plays goalkeeper for the rest of the season. As for future goalkeeper, well, no, he's 34. You want to bring in a player. I mean, in goalkeeper language, 28, 29 is still young.
Yeah,
you got to bring in a goalkeeper that's going to take over from Lloris, going to be there for the next 5, 6, 7 years, or whatever it might be. But yeah, as for a reserve keeper, he's come in. He's got the Premiership experience. I had worries about his reflex, but he made a great save on Saturday, where his reflex was brilliant in tapping the ball over from, I think it's a header. So that sort of proved me wrong. Although I think maybe getting down to the ground might be his. Because a big bloke, I think that might be his one weak point. But then most goalkeepers have sort of weak points on them.
Yeah, I mean, who would you want as goalkeeper in? Realistically, obviously.
Realistically.
For me, it would be that Diogo Costa from somewhere in Spain or Portugal. I can't remember exactly where, but yeah, I think he's a quality goalkeeper. 25 as well, I think.
I like the Wolves keeper.
I like the Brentford's one there. Wouldn't say no to that.
I mean, I guess you could make the argument that Villa's keeper had a good World Cup.
Although again, I can't stand that guy.
Oh, he's still 34, isn't he? I think he's still reasonably old. I mean, I don't know any of the foreign keepers they're talking about. They're talking about some Turkish keeper or something or other.
I don't know about
But I think we do need to get someone in there for Lloris, and it seems that they're putting their hopes in Brendan Austin rather than what's his name being as the young keeper,
Alfie
Whiteman, which when I saw Whiteman in the friendly games, I thought he looked pretty good. But I haven't seen a lot of Austin. But apparently that's the guy they're gonna put their faith
He's
in.
out on loan, isn't he, at the moment, I think?
I'm not sure. He came.
Is he
I'm
not?
not sure.
Oh, he might not be.
He did come back because I think he went to a Norwegian team, and they had like a different. Their season is a different sort of time than ours. I think it's
I think we need another goalkeeper in. Brandon Austin must only be at least 20 or something like that. Bring in your new number one, your 28, 29-year-old. He's a second, and then in about 3 years' time, then they can have a battle out who's number one. But yeah, at the moment, sticking you want to be winning titles and stuff. Sticking a 20-year-old goalkeeper in. Not for me. Unless he's the goalkeeping equivalent of Wayne Rooney at 16. Not for me.
Well, you look at Leicester when they won the title. Kasper Schmeichel had an absolutely brilliant season. That year, and you look at the big Man United teams that used to win all the time. Well, ironically, the other Schmeichel was excellent. So you need a decent keeper. Liverpool bought Alisson, didn't they? You need a decent keeper. That's one area where I don't think you can really, cut corners on, and that's not meant to be a pun there.
I'm so glad Jordan Pickford has signed a new contract. I think he's so overrated. Every save he makes, he palms that into the penalty area, into danger again. And it's just that's poor goalkeeping for me. He's good with his feet, but so's Harry Kane, and he ain't a goalkeeper. Let's talk about the manager now. It was very interesting to see the highlights. He was animated on the touchline, celebrating all the goals. I haven't seen that for a little while. Are the players playing for him again, or is this just that don't jump to conclusions and it was against the poor team? Because the last few games, I've thought they're not playing for him because they're not putting any kind of effort in. Looking like, but again, they've put in a performance here, and Conte looks, invested again. So maybe I was wrong there, but I don't think he's going to be there until the end of the start next season. We'll come on to who we think it might be a bit later on, but have you had any doubts that they're not playing for him, or
no, not really. I think the problem against Milan was the lack of urgency. Now, whether you put that down to not playing for the manager, I don't know. But I thought they had effort against Milan. I think they put the effort in, but the urgency wasn't there. Certainly, the realisation of how important the game was didn't seem to be there. But no, I don't think if you just every time you interview a player, obviously they're going to say the right. They're not saying, "Oh, glad he's gone," but they're going to, they all seem to be.
Well, Richarlison might.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah, but no, I think, I don't think he's lost the players, and we'll see how it goes the rest of the season. I mean, he's obviously, from what he keeps on saying he's one of those. He literally, you could have sociology professors of English language or body language or whatever analyze his press. You always. I think with Conte, you're always trying to read between the lines and, what's he really saying? And he kept on making this point, didn't he? I will die for this club. I will die for this club this season. But once the season ends, that's it. I'm not killing myself. Yeah. And I think he's made a lot of... I think he's sort of given the game away a bit. I think what will happen, and I've always said that if he leaves, it'll be personal reasons. But I think that might still be the case, but I think he'll also say, that he had a philosophy for the club, but the club didn't share the same philosophy, and we're mutually agreeing to go separate ways. I think that's what's going to happen at the end of the season. And I don't think he's going to have a go at the club. I don't think he's going to say, "Oh, they're rubbish." I think he's just going to try and be really, really subtle and do it that way. And in a strange, weird sort of way. I mean, I don't go with all the Conte out. Look, football's not been good. We all know that. But it's Conte, because the people are saying Conte out, probably the same people that are singing Antonio 3 or 4 months before. probably the same people that are singing Pochettino's song and then wanted Poch out, and now after the Milan game, as they're leaving the ground, they're wanting Pochettino back in. They're singing Pochettino song again. So the funny thing is, if the season went really, really shit from now on, and we ended 6th, 7th, 8th, the Conte out people will be so loud that when he does leave, because what was going to happen before was that if he'd have been really successful with us, and then said, "No, I'm not being backed, I'm out," and everyone would have been up in arms, like, it's Enix's fault, out. But now it could be, ironically, could be that we sort of end the season in a whimper, and he goes, and most people say, "Oh yeah, glad he's gone," and then Enix sort of gets out of it somehow.
I was saying last week, Conte out just because the football was so poor. I didn't think they were playing for him. I thought it was a case that they knew he was going, so what's the point? And the football was so poor, and I just couldn't see a way out of it. But I mean, Enoch have got a lot to answer for, and the fact that Poch got fired 4 years ago is all down to them by not doing what he said.
Yeah.
Then you appoint Mourinho, a winner, and then don't let him win something when he's got a chance to do it. Then appoint Nuno after saying we're going back to our roots of DNA, and then you could argue the same point with Conte. But you bring in a manager, Conte, who his philosophy that he wants players that he wants, and the club go and buy the players that they want. So it's just been since Pochettino, three very, very strange appointments that just don't really make a huge amount of sense.
That's the other thing, Chris, is that he came out and said that Spence was a club signing. So we all got the impression out of the 7 signings that was the one that club bought. I'm now beginning, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I'm now beginning to think that maybe more than that one signing were club signings, and that he didn't really have a say in some of the players we got.
Yeah.
And I think, with Conte or any manager like Conte, you've got to give him what he wants so his system works.
Yeah.
And it's been proven in Italy and here that his system does work, but he needs to play, his players. And I don't think we've ever played with a team with his team. And you could make the argument with Arteta at Arsenal that most of those players are all Arteta signings. So, Conte's got players from Pochettino's days. I
mean, I know I said Conte's a weird signing, but it was obvious that the signing was made because fans were up in arms at Nuno.
Yeah.
So it was an appeasement signing. That's why. Yeah. But still, like an appeasement signing, fine. You know who you've got. You know what he does. And you just don't do it. It's just very, very strange. And Pochettino is a perfect fit for Spurs. Attacking football, brings through youth, doesn't have to spend an absolute fortune. Got best manager in my lifetime at Spurs by a mile. Well, maybe not by a mile. That might be a bit harsh on Harry Redknapp, but there's no doubt in my mind if he had the owners that I know Chelsea had with Abramovich, we'd be still up there. We'd have been winning leagues and stuff because they would have given him that rebuild. They'd have done what he said. They'd have got out the dead wood for him and got in the players like the Mane, not the Ng's, and the Wijnaldums, not the Sissokos that he asked for. And we'd still have this attacking philosophy, but if you're in finals and stuff 10 years on the trot, at some point you're going to win one. And when you hit one, that's a turning point. So there's no doubt in my mind, if the owners had done what Pochettino said, when he did that interview with Gary Lineker, something about a nice house, but you need to furnish it. Yeah. That we'd be winning leagues or would have won leagues and cups and all sorts with Pochettino as the manager. And we could have legitimately said we got a manager here for the next 20 years. So Enoch, for me, messed up the Pochettino thing fully. And 16-17 season after that, in the summer, that close to beating Chelsea, that's the time to really go, right, okay, we're fucking serious here. We're going to go and win this league or die trying. And they didn't do it. That
was the best Tottenham team I've seen in my lifetime. That 2016-17 season. Well, I think we drew two at White Lane and one at all the rest.
4 points, didn't we?
Yeah.
But that was the time in the summer. That's what I can't forgive. I mean, the no signing anyone for 18 months and not giving them the rebuild was a disgrace.
That was. When you look at, I know people they tend to rewrite history books and say, "Oh, look where we finished, blah blah blah," and he never won a final, he never won this. But when you look, he had to put up with changing where they were going to play. Like they had to play at Wembley, then they had to, play, the old White Lane and Wembley, and then the new stadium. So you had to put up with all that. Sorry, mate, no fun for players.
No.
And
it's the way he played attacking. Fortune favours the brave. There's a reason why Ferguson was so successful at Man United. It's just because they attacked everybody. Teams knew they'd attack, so teams would sit back while they attacked at the end. And it's no surprise that they got so many late goals. So did we. And AJ says shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
I mean, it's and Yeah, he made so. He he made mistakes. He did make mistakes, but I think we didn't have a lot of luck in a lot of those semi-finals and finals, and let's face it, the Leicester season, that's never going to happen again. That was a one-off that Leicester City, because I remember that season when we were fighting for it, thinking they're going to drop off, they're going to lose, they're not going to be able to last the course. Never happened, and I don't think we'll see that. Certainly not in my lifetime.
Well, both those teams, Leicester and Chelsea, didn't have Europe those seasons, did they? So
no,
it's literally one game a week for both of them. But
yeah, but I mean, Chelsea had a really good manager, ironically Conte. They had the history behind them about being successful. They'd done it before. They were a really good team that season, and I'll hold my hat off and say we were finished. We were second. We were the second best team in that league that season, and got beat by the best. Whereas the Leicester season, I think, I know it sounds a bit, I think we were the best team in the country that season. I really do, and but unfortunately, we didn't have. I mean, the start of the season ruined it for us. We were very poor in the first 4 games. But anyway,
I think if he'd have given him the rebuild that he wanted and stuck with him, we'd have been in that position again and again and again, and eventually we'd have got over the line. That's just my opinion anyway. And that 16-17 season, that was the time to go, right, we're serious here. Let's go win this league or die trying. And we didn't do it. And now we're where we are, where we've dropped off and we're nowhere near.
I can't remember a season where, and we're all Tottenham fans, we all know that we go and we play, say, Nottingham Forest, and you think, oh, it'll be just like Tottenham to lose that. That season,
I thought we could beat everybody.
Teams. Yeah, we battered though. We had Stoke. I think we were 4 up at half time against Stoke. We battered West Brom 4-0. We battered Bournemouth 4 or 5-0. All these teams that in the past, this could be the banana skin. We absolutely battered them. And the way we played it, I mean, obviously, White Hart was I think it was a smaller pitch. I think a West Brom player once said that once we got them in, because we pressed high and got them in their own penalty, he said we couldn't get out. This Brom player, you couldn't get out.
It was a time there that when we scored the first goal, that's game over. It's just a question of how many, certainly at home. But Richo63 in the chat, Everton fan. How you doing, buddy? Interesting to see what you think of Richarlison. Obviously, he superb for you. He's not been anywhere near that level for us. What your thoughts are, why that could be, and what have you. Will Pochettino be back? Who's the next manager? It's Marco Silva, the favourite now. Ted Lasso will be the favourite next week, and then Mike Bassett the week afterwards. Pochettino, I've seen it's unlikely that he's coming and everything like that. For me, I want Pochettino back, but not yet. It's too early. It's only 3 years, 4 years, or whatever it was. Same chairman who's had him, chucked him under a bus, will just do the same. Hasn't had the rebuild. But and Richo says would love Richarlison back, but there are links with him being linked with Real Madrid. But I think the issue that Everton have is the money issue, that they wouldn't be able to afford 60 million. But Pochettino would love him back. Not yet. It's got to be.
He wouldn't want to play in the Championship either. Sorry. I do apologise. Richo. I do apologise.
Sean Dyche now. They won't go down. But and.
I shouldn't have said that before we play him. Actually, I should have waited till after we play him.
Marco Silva, he's had a good half a season, 3/4 of a season. Same with De Zerbi, although he did do well. That I was pointed out to me on Saturday when I was out at previous clubs. And I didn't want Pochettino when he first came. I thought he's had a good half a season with Southampton, season and a half. What's he going to do? And then that was obviously egg in my face. But who do you want in charge? Who do you think in charge? Or do you think it's irrelevant because Conte's staying? Although I know the answer to that one because I think you've pretty much answered that. But three questions.
I think Conte's going for the reasons I've said earlier. It would not surprise me to see Pochettino come back. I think it would depend on Pochettino because we hear these stories that half the board don't want him back, but if Daniel Levy wants him back, then Daniel Levy will get him. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but then again, I wouldn't be over the moon. So I think the Pochettino coming back's got that romantic thing about it, and we all love him, So it's got that edge to it.
I just don't see how it can work when
and
he's thrown him under the bus once, and then if he decides I'm coming back, I want to come back. Oh, I've got him. I can literally do anything to him, and he'll keep coming back.
I mean, the fantasist in me says that we'll be taken over by new owners who've got loads and loads of money, and they'll bring Pochettino back, give all the money he wants, and the rest is history.
And a 15-year
I can't see that happening
as well.
But yeah, I do agree with you, Chris. My heart says Pochettino, yeah. My head says no. It's going to be back to what it was before. They've also got the situation at the moment. We've got a literal team out on loan at the moment. 11 players or whatever out on loan. You've got to get rid of those.
Who wants Ndombele? I mean,
this is it.
We talk about Richarlison early. Puts in 100% every single game, nothing with Ndombele. Region, that's a weird. I think Udogie was definitely sent out on loan with a view to being in our first team, so I'm okay with that because he's not going anywhere, and I think he'll be quality. He's tearing it up in Italy. Winks.
But they're all the losers. They're all the perennial losers. So Winks, Ndombele, Lo Celso, who, if you're lucky, got 2 or 3 games before he got injured. I mean, I thought Reguilon when he first came looked good, but then he sort of fell away. Who else is out on loan?
We've got Dane Scarlett and Harvey White, but they're certainly if Poch comes back and is there for 5 years, they'll be in the first team at some point. So that's fine.
And the problem is that they've lost so much form that these clubs won't pay the money that we paid for them. And you know what we're like? It'll be, or say what Daniel Levy needs. Like, no, we want the money. They won't want to make a loss of them. And again, this comes down to my fantasy in that these new owners that have loads and loads of money will let them go for cut price deals and get rid of them, or even cancel their contracts and pay them out their contracts.
Well, Levy did do that with Aurea, didn't he? Which I was surprised about, being that we actually paid money for. Yeah, I was very surprised about that. But but who do you think we'll get, or is it Poch that you think we'll get?
I mean, Tottenham are funny, aren't they? Poch was quite a surprise. Nuno was certainly a surprise. Redknapp, I think, was there at the right time.
Yeah, Yol was just luck, wasn't it?
Luck,
we say Nuno and Conte are defensive. My God, Jack Santini was dreadful.
I mean, you
absolutely
could argue,
horrendous.
I mean, the Beatles, the greatest band, one of the greatest bands ever, but then they wouldn't have been there if it hadn't been for some of these, Mississippi blues players. So you could argue that Martin Yole was the sort of Mississippi blues player that started what came to be the Pochettino revolution. I think it all started with Martin Yole. And you're right, that was lucky. That was Santini who quit under really bizarre circumstances. That was bizarre. That was really, really weird.
It takes a special kind of manager to be worse than Christian Gross. That's all I'll say on that one.
Well, there's a guy, I can't remember the name. He's the River Plate manager.
A lot of talk about him. Gallardo, yeah. I mean, he plays attacking football. He doesn't spend a huge amount of money, which is all fine. But I think it's a real risk because there's a world of difference between the Argentinian league and the Premier League. Certainly if you're not au fait with English football anyway. Pochettino managed in the Argentinian league, but we got him after he'd been a year and a half at Southampton, so he was familiar with the Premier League and things like that.
I think
it's a real risk with a manager like that.
There's lots of these up and coming managers in Argentina, in Italy, or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to look at the league they're managing in and see its similarities with the Premier League. I mean, this is why you could argue that the German league is a lot similar to the Premier League, maybe the Dutch league. I don't know, but I mean, it'll certainly, as someone made the point today, he'll certainly be able to withstand the pressure of local derbies. I mean, if you see the local derbies they have in Argentina, I mean, bloody hell, that's amazing. But no, I don't know a lot about him, to be honest.
No.
I guess if you're a betting man, Pochettino's probably favourite.
Yeah, well, I said this about 12 months ago when Conte got appointed. But a couple of from Richo. Deitch will keep us up. Everton fan, remember. And Brad, if this comes true, it's your fault for mocking him. Spurs at home on a Monday night under the lights, siren playing in a 12-man Goodison crowd and make it volatile. Bring it on.
Yeah.
And,
Listen, yeah.
Conte in, Conte out, Poch in, he says as well. If I could have anyone, I'm with Brian Daigle, Thomas Frank. Quite why he'd leave Brentford to come to a team where it doesn't give him anything, I don't know. But just playing devil's advocate, who do you want? Thomas Frank
is a very, very good manager.
Absolutely. But why he'd come to us, I'm not sure.
I wouldn't be opposed to him as well, but he's got a very good chairman at Brentford, an absolutely brilliant chairman and a great relationship. He wouldn't get it out of Tottenham. I mean, you could make the argument he wouldn't need big signings. I don't know, but I do like Thomas Frank. He's certainly with Brentford. They've had some good players, and when they've lost, like Ollie Watkins, for example, it hasn't really affected them. They brought another player in, like Ivan Toney came in.
Same with Ericsson, who last year was their driving force and keeping them up. They lost him, and then hasn't really made a difference.
Yeah. So I think he's a very, very good manager. He's also met one of my friends as well, but I don't know. It could be someone totally out of the blue, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I if I could have anyone, it would be Thomas Frank. But the betting man in me says Conte goes out, no compensation. Poch is a free agent. Levy gets the manager out, manager in, absolutely nothing paid apart from a few wages. And he'll save wages because whoever's in next will not be on the same amount of money, £15 million a year, that Conte.
And there'll be a lot of fans that will welcome Pochettino back.
Yeah, and a lot of fans who will be angry that he's messed the Conte stuff up. So again, Poch, another, for majority of fans anyway, another appeasement signing. But it
was like we were all really, really upset when Pochettino was sacked.
Yeah.
The following morning, Mourinho was in, and it was like, oh, okay, we'll go with that.
It's really odd. I felt like I was cheating on Poch. I didn't know it was awful. Yeah, and Thomas Frank, Richo says he can go up to level of a top 6 club, and
well, fair enough. We are a top 6 club,
and I think I'd be absolutely amazed if the next manager isn't an attacking manager. I'd be amazed if it's another defensive manager, 3 on the spin.
Well, you absolutely amazed. The Tottenham DNA in the chairman's message again.
Well, it's got 3 defensive managers and it hasn't worked. I mean, it could have worked with Mourinho in the sense that we're after silverware and he was in a cup final, and I wasn't so. I was opposed at sacking Poch, but when Mourinho came in, it's okay, fine. We're getting a manager in who's going to win us a trophy. But then to sack him 6 days before, allegedly due to reports that if he wins, we owe him a load of money. Like, you gave him that bloody contract. Why are you giving someone a contract that you're hoping he fails in his contract so you save money? So
didn't he also? The story was that he wanted to rest players. Southampton before the final because he wanted to win the final, but the management or Levy and co said no.
Yeah,
top four's more important, which you could argue was the situation against Wolves as well, against Sheffield United and Wolves.
I mean, if you're that interested, save yourself some money and you be the fucking manager instead of telling all of these managers what to do.
Well, ironically, didn't that happen at Brentford? I think that might have happened, didn't it, years ago?
Yeah.
I think the chairman became their manager for a while.
Yeah, And Rob Belcher in the chat as well. I forgot about this manager, Paulo Fonseca. Favoured by Paratici, the bookie's second favourite behind.
Yeah, well, he almost became our manager, didn't he?
I don't know too much about him, to be honest. I know he's an attacking
he
manager,
won was it the Ukrainian League 3 years in a row?
Again, it's a Gallardo situation for me. Ukrainian League, winning it, fine, wonderful. Very, very different league.
He is a very attacking manager.
Yeah, I know he's been in Italy as well, hasn't he, in his past?
Yeah, he's very. Someone made the point that you might not win things, but you'll be entertained. Yeah, which some of the fan base would like that. I mean, I don't see why you can't do both. I mean, all right, we haven't got Manchester City's money. But Manchester City seems to have done it, and say it under my breath. So are Arsenal this season seem to be doing it. So
I don't know about. For me, I want someone who plays attacking, but knows the Premier League. Whether that's because they're still in the Premier League or have been in the Premier League. So Poch and Frank fit that bill. that's what I don't want a manager that has no knowledge of managing in the Premier League, because it's very, very different, very competitive.
Then again,
that's just my opinion.
yeah.
Just my opinion.
Then again, we do seem to go for ex Chelsea managers. So
I don't. Tuchel might be a good manager. I just can't stand the bloody guy. So I don't want him in. I think he's just. Yeah, I don't like him at all.
Or Graham Potter.
Well, I wanted Graham Potter at the start, but I think he's probably turned it around. But yeah, kind of last bit before we finish, we got Southampton next. Southampton are struggling, but so were a few other teams, and Dr. Tottenham showed up. But on paper, we should be winning this, and we got 11 games left. This exact point last season is where we got the 11 games left, 27 points out of 33, and basically fired our way to the to the top 4. Whether we'll do that again, that's going to be a big ask. But we've got a little bit of a platform after that Forest game. But how do you see the rest of the season going, and who do you think will clinch that 4th? Because let me bring the league up again. Arsenal, Man City, I think, are dead cert 1st and 2nd.
Mm.
Man United could be interesting, but yeah. So I think 1st and 2nd, Arsenal and City are dead cert in 1st and 2nd. Which order, I'm not sure. Man United, Tottenham, Newcastle, Liverpool, and you can't discount Brighton because of the games in hand. So what's that? 5 teams there. Who do you see getting 3rd and 4th?
Well, I think that we're in a good position to do it. We have that week that we have Newcastle, Man United, and Liverpool. If we can get through those 3 games and not lose, and maybe even draw 2 and win 1. I mean, obviously, Man United at home would be your best bet there.
Yeah.
Brighton have got games in hand, but we've got Brighton at home to come. Yeah. So you
plus you'd always want the points, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So you can sort of solve a problem there. I think if we can get loads and loads of points, we got winnable games. That's it. Well, yeah. Is there such a thing with Tottenham? But we got winnable games.
Yeah.
And Southampton, if we can win there, and that's again a big if, then that might give us the confidence to go on a run, because I think out of our 11 games, 8 of them are winnable, or games we should be winning, but games that we should be winning. And if we can get through those 3, well, hopefully they're in April, so we might be hopefully in a strong position because of our winnable games.
Yeah.
To get the matches against Man United, Newcastle, and Liverpool won't be as important. Now, we've also got our last game of the season is Leeds away. That's not going to be hard. That's not going to be easy.
Fighting for their survival,
relegation. I mean, I'm hoping that game won't mean anything anyway. But yeah, we could find ourselves in a situation where we go to Leeds and they need points to stay up, and we need points to top 4. So that could be a tricky game. I'm hoping it won't be that important when it comes to that. I mean, it's all very well playing Norwich last season. They're already down.
Yeah.
But again, because of the other thing I want to make a point. Last season, we had to make up ground to get top 4.
Yeah, now
we had to make ground on Arsenal, and we relied very much on Arsenal losing games, which they ultimately did. And then we beat them in that obviously the game at Tottenham. This time we're already there. We're already in 4th. So it's very much in our hands. And if we just need to make sure we're reasonably consistent. I mean, you're not going to win all 11 games. The 8 winnable games, we're not going to win all 8 of them. But we need to make sure that we win enough of them to get into that position. And again, we unfortunately we can't sustain any more injuries at the moment. So certainly in the midfield, we got skipped basically 3 midfielders in that role, and unfortunately our other attacking players apparently got some young lad, Dan Juma apparently is a young attacking player. So yeah, hopefully he might run out. But yeah, we've sold in the past that when we do have injuries up top, or when we don't play the normal forwards, that we can't seem to score goals, and that the players that take their place don't seem to do it. But yeah, I'm not it'd be great if we get top 4. Don't get me wrong, but I've got to say now that Sheffield United has just kicked me in the guts. It really has.
Yeah.
And I just feel, well, there's a part of me, and I think you should want your team to win every game they play. There's a part of me thinking, next season with a new manager and no European football might be interesting. Could be good.
Yeah.
You know,
well, Harry will leave, but yeah, we'll need.
Well, that's the thing, is that the old. But then I'm thinking, well, the Champions League hasn't really sort of got us, hasn't got us all the play. I mean, yeah, you could argue, some of the players that we have got in and want to play European football, but yeah, it doesn't always work that way.
No. Let's see a couple of comments. JJ, Dan, who?
Yeah, some young kid, JJ. Yeah, some young lad.
And because of what Brad said, he can also see Everton being a problem for us as well.
Yeah, no. Actually, going back to what Rich was saying, yeah, Monday night at Everton. Yeah, when Everton get behind their boys, they're a good crowd up at Everton.
Yeah. And a couple more. What's the point? FC missed the show. Sorry, mate. No problem. And you're in the show, so you haven't missed it at all. You've just missed part of it. Predictions here for the top 6. So not necessarily these 4, the first 4 are a surprise, but Man City, Arsenal, United, and Spurs. But the 5th and 6th. 5th, Liverpool, and 6th, Newcastle. So predicting a real drop off for Newcastle. I have a feeling that, their win against Wolves will be the kick in the teeth that they needed, and they'll go on a bit of a run now. He also says he thought he'd subscribe, but hasn't, so he's just subbed now. Really appreciate it. And please hit the like and subscribe. And thanks to everybody in the comments who's added comments and questions. Also said as well, I agree with this as well. Dyche has Everton organised now. They're hard to break down, and you're going to have to play well defensively to keep them out, and you're going to have to play well. But we usually score quite a few against Everton, but very different Everton now, and probably a very different Tottenham as well. But Southampton next, like we say, and I agree as well, Brad. You've got to win your games that on paper you should be winning. You do not lose against the teams, your Uniteds, your Newcastles, your Liverpools. You can't be affording to lose ground on those teams. And, they've got 11 games left or whatever it is. I know there's a few games in hand, but let's just say everyone's on even keel, 11 games. They ain't going to win all 11 games. And, so win as many of our 8 doable ones. Well, obviously win as many as our 11, but you know what I mean. But, do not lose to those 3 teams, because you can't afford that 6-point swing there. But Conte's catch up. How you doing? Elvis is in the building.
By the way,
thank you, Elvis. Please make sure you.
I watched the Elvis film last night. Actually, very good film, I have to say.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. He also says as well, Conte's catch up. Liverpool are the only team that can go on an 8-game win streak. I think Liverpool will get Champions League spot. I mean, I thought after the Man United game they'd go on a bit of a run, and then I couldn't believe that they lost to Bournemouth, and Salah's penalty has gone higher than Kane's one in the World Cup. He also goes on Spurs 5th and also Newcastle 6th, though Newcastle dropping off. Very interesting how Newcastle do, certainly in their next game. They must think luck is with them with the Pope VAR stuff. And it pretty much agrees, I think, with exactly what the point. What's the point? Said City first, Arsenal second, United.
Yeah, third. I mean we're 2 points behind third, but I'm not saying we're going to get third.
Yeah. I think they're a better team than us. They just had an absolute mare against Liverpool.
There is something I've just thought of. You could have this situation where Conte will tell his players, "I'm off at the end of the season," and that might get a good reaction. They might say, "Okay, we'll do it for you, boss."
Yeah, maybe. I think the issue with that though is the first 11 or the players who know they're in the first 11 will. The others will go, "I don't fucking care. You're not even playing me. What do I care?"
Yeah, but then they might have the attitude, "Well, I want to play for the next manager."
Yeah,
I don't know. It's who knows.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of, because Ferguson said, didn't he, when he said in the season that he was retiring at the end of the season, one of the biggest mistakes he made, he should have just kept it quiet, and then at the end of the season, right, okay, here's the deal. I mean, it probably works for someone. There must have been a manager in the past that the players have known he's going, and then they've ended up, "I'm doing it for you." But we've pretty much reached the end. Cheers, Brad, as always, for coming on. And
Chris.
Yeah, absolutely, always a pleasure having you on. And Blue Sofa Songs, your YouTube channel. The link and Brad's YouTube channel, Brad's Twitter handle, and the link to his YouTube channel are in the description. But what can people expect?
Well, it's totally unrelated to football. It's my other passion for music. So it's I'm trying to write songs, trying to write music and songs. So they're all on personal experiences, personal feelings. So there's quite a lot of personal stuff in there, to be fair. Yeah, some are good, some don't work. I'm using software now to multi-track things, but it's all me playing all the instruments and singing, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
the latest song that's on there is called Community, and it's written about you guys. It's written about this YouTube community that I've been a part of for all these years. It's a longer song than normal, but I was trying to get a Hey Jude type feel with a sing-along chorus. So check it out. If you do check it out, try and watch the whole 5 minutes if you can. But yeah, please have a look. Please click like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. The views I don't know why, but the views seem to be going down a bit lately, so it's a bit disappointing. But yeah, look, have a look, see what you reckon.
So the life cycle of a YouTuber, isn't it? You know, you get peaks and troughs. But yeah, brilliant channel. Make sure you check out Blue Sofa Songs every 2 Fridays, isn't it?
Yep, every 2 Fridays. I put one up last Friday. It literally got uploaded half an hour before 5 o'clock, which is my deadline, or my own self-imposed deadline, not a YouTube deadline. I normally get them up on 5 o'clock on a Friday, every other Friday. So yeah, always trying to think of new songs to write, new things to do, new lyrics to write, new chords, new ways of playing, basically. So always trying to improve. That's all you can do.
Yeah, it's a brilliant channel, so make sure you check it out. The link is in the description, but you can find it, Blue Sofa Songs, on YouTube.
And also, don't forget to subscribe to Chris's Magic as well, which is
thank you.
Some good stuff on there.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, so Chris's Magic, that's Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. UK time. Very similar to Brad, completely unrelated to football, just a bit of a passion YouTube channel. But please make sure you hit like, subscribe on Let's Talk Tottenham. Also hit the notification bell on all 3 of these channels as well. That way you'll be notified when there's new content up, rather than you having to go and search it out. And we've got Audi Cup winners. You'll never sing that. Nice way to end. We have won a cup in the Levy era since 2001.
Hey, we won the Water Toll Memorial Trophy. Come on.
But yeah, pleasure as always, Brad. Thank you to everybody who's watched it and hit the like and in the comments. Be back on Friday, 12:30 p.m. Looking forward to the Southampton game. Hopefully we can get a win there before the international break. And yeah, we'll be back the following Monday as well. Cheers, JJ, as well. And yeah, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, notification bell on Let's Talk Tottenham. Do the same on Chris's Magic and Blue Sofa Songs. And I'll be back on Friday, 12:30 p.m. UK time. Be sure as well to keep a check out on the channel. I'm doing a lot of shorts, just a minute video of my views on lineups. Yeah, lineups, team news, manager news, games, halftime scores, whatever. I'm going to see how they get on. But yeah, please support the channel. It really helps the likes and subscribes and the notification bell. I'll be back on Friday with a load of shorts in between as well. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Thanks so much for watching. For everybody who joined in the live chat and added comments. Before you go, please leave a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, please hit that notification bell. That'll give you a notification every time we're about to go live, and it's all completely free. For those who missed the live show, you can catch this whenever you want on Let's Talk Tottenham's YouTube channel. Please also hit the like, subscribe and notification bell. And everybody, please leave feedback, comments, suggestions in the comments section on the YouTube videos. For those of you who listen to the audio podcast, thank you so much for listening. Anyone who wants that audio podcast, you can pick that up wherever you get your podcast from. We're back Mondays, 7:30 p.m. UK time, and Fridays, 12:30 p.m. UK time. Alternatively, if you go to Twitter @LTalkTottenham, Instagram, Let's Talk Tottenham Podcast, you can find all the information there. Anyone who wants something a little bit different, also do a magic show. So I do one trick a week, which drops Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. UK time. Chris's Magic on YouTube is where you'll find that. But in the meantime,